doing this. But look, as this thing goes up and down, which things do, you know, here's an area where you got a little bit of spring where you go, well, maybe it's going to keep going up now. No, keep going down. Look at the difference between here and here. Okay, this is almost about a year's or 9 months worth of time. And in that amount of time, that property gained $100,000 in this bad market. Things are starting to turn around. You know, I'm just looking at this going, well, you know, here's about the average. Good luck ever selling it for that. But if I can at least get to 900, I'll sell that property, pay off the house I live in, and be there home free. Okay, so it might take a few more years. We'll get there. But what I'm saying is the market is shifting, and as we bring other people up here to speak, you're going to understand how important it is at this phase of the market that if you have a chance to refinance or to purchase or to do anything, we're starting to see things slowly go up. And they're not going to go up as fast as they have in the past because we've had big financial problems, you know that, nationally. Okay? But the rates are really low. Okay? So now's the time to be thinking seriously about what can you do with what you've got. Okay? So let's go take a quick look at the finance page. What time do we got?
7:02.
Ooh, I'm way behind schedule. Okay, so I'll step it up. So this is the finance page on our main website. Okay. First thing I did was put a link to Wikipedia's definition of finance. I got to look at that and I went, I can learn something here. This is like pages of information. I'm going to have to go back and spend some time on that. I don't have the time right now, but I'll get there. Okay. So as you come down, one of the first things we talk about is managing your money. So a lot of people go, well, how can I get an 18% return on my money? Well, the best way for all of us is to pay off our credit cards. Because you're already paid 18% or more on these credit cards, which I didn't used to, you know, a long time ago, and I got in the habit, and it's been horrible to get out of the habit. Especially in this market, I'm usually selling properties, taking the money back, and trying to, you know, bail out on whatever financial thing I've got and move on. But I'm not going to sell these properties at the bottom of the market, okay? And it's hard to get people to qualify for loans, and, you know, I'm justifying why I'm in credit card debt, but let me tell you, if you're in large credit card debt and you don't have a lot of liquidity, a lot of cash reserves in your savings, because mine's all tied up in properties, good luck getting a loan. I've been out for 3 or 4 months trying to get loans. I've had some people helping me out, and they're all going, yeah, you're really bad shape, you're not going to get a loan. But here's the little bit of help that might save you some time and effort, is that if you go back to your existing lender that you currently have a loan with, chances are you can refinance at a much lower rate right now with minimal paperwork, not full doc or anything else, and get through it. I'm working with GMAC on that property I just showed you in Santa Barbara, and they've already said, yeah, we can get you from 5.75 or whatever we got down to 4.6, fairly inexpensively, real quick, a few weeks, boom, you're done. It won't need to be full doc. And so we're just about done with that. I'm trying to do something on our house with Union Bank. This time last year, Union Bank said 4.6% will give you a 40-year, you know, interest only fixed for 7 years. I had one for 10. This year, and I said, no, forget it. They wanted me to pay off my credit cards back then. I probably should have. Didn't. I'm going back this year trying again, and they're saying, well, we'll give you the 10, and we're at 3.375 now for the first 10 years, and then it amortizes to 30. So the reason I mention this is because if you're in a situation that you're pretty tight on whatever, like I am, there is hope if you go to your existing lender. Now, if I went and said I want to get a new loan on a new property, they'd all say, forget it. No way. You know that. But if you're going to your existing lender, you might have a better chance. If you're not in my situation, then hey, sky's the limit. Now's the time to do it. Get out there and do something. Okay? So that is, so we've got a couple links here. Dave Ramsey, I'm sure you guys have heard of Dave Ramsey, okay? He's got a lot of good information on his site, so we linked to that. Susie Orman, I got a link there. I went back and looked at Facebook, and that's where I saw the link to the Blues Brothers, my dogs, I get my stuff on her site. I don't know. It's really weird. But in any case, it's part of the whole marketing thing we were talking about. Steve Rowe, however that's pronounced, get out a debt calculator. He's got an interesting thing on there that, you know, you've probably heard, if you want to get through your credit card debt, pay off one card, go to the next, pay off that card, go to the next. He's got about 4 or 5 different levels of things that you can do depending on what your situation is. Some really ugly and some really good, you know. Depends on your situation, so you should look at that. 5 financial gurus you haven't seen. I'm not going to go over that, but you can take a look at that. Where to get the money, okay? So this is peer-to-peer lending. This came out in the last 3, 4, 5 years. And it's basically, you say, hey, you want $5,000, and I say, oh, I got $5,000. I'll loan it to you through this peer lending thing out there. It's my money. You don't need to go to anybody else. Sure, let's do that, okay? Or you're looking to get you know, a good rate on something. You should look at gamble of being the lender, because, you know, people don't pay. There is a gamble there, but if you're borrowing, there's some pretty good rates and some pretty good deals that you may get that you couldn't get anyplace, okay? So you should look at those. Alan Calgo, he talks about private lending. He's like, you know, from Ohio, and in my opinion, he's like the professor of the knowledge of private lending. You know, that's a whole game that is really difficult legally to get involved in, and I started down that path, and I took a lot of his stuff, and we're going to go take a quick look at his site if we can pull this up. But I just got to the point where I felt like, you know, I don't want to deal with the security and exchange laws. I don't want to pool money with people. I don't want all the legalities and the problems and everything that goes along with it. So I really don't want to get involved in seeking private loans from people, okay? And that's why I decided, because as you go down, you can see this guy, he's just got video after video after video, and, you know, I mean, he's got a huge amount of stuff on private lending and how to do this properly without ending up in jail, which you can if you're not on top of what you're doing. You know, you can get in big trouble. So that's why I decided to go the whole 20K route that I'm doing, is because I'm not asking for private lenders. I'm actually going in on the deal with the people, 50-50 on the deed. They're coming in with the cash. I'm doing all the work, and yes, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Nobody wants to do it. It's an ugly job, but you know, you got to do something. And that's what I do. Okay. So, and that has nothing to do with private lending, because we're going in as joint ventures. Totally different thing. Okay. So let's go back and take a look at the rest of that finance page, and then we'll get somebody else up here. So Alan Calgo, a lot of good information. Lee Arnold, another link to private lender. Kylie Hatch, he's a member of our Santa Barbara REIA. REIA. He's moving to Las Vegas. He's going to be doing a lot of commercial stuff out there. You should maintain that link, get back to him talking about the possibility of different types of loans. We've got Rick Ryder, he's a member here that is going to be speaking. He's on there, his information is up there. Craig Maltman is not on meetup.com, but you probably will be. You're not on there yet, right?
No.
Yeah, you probably will be. So he's going to be speaking to us. His information is up there. We've got a number of things up here to look at. This is kind of an association for California on private lending, and this is a national association. Probably a place to get educated and learn a lot more about that. Hard money lenders, I don't know how many of you have heard of Bruce Norris. He's around the San Bernardino Riverside area. Excellent guy as far as the rehabbing and stuff, and he does hard money lending. Not Chuck Norris, Bruce Norris. Okay. So we've got a number of things there. We've also got, you want to grab a seat? You okay? Brokers, we've got Brandon Hawkinson is going to be up here speaking. We've got a link back to his information. Banks, Rabobank, IDA. And then this is one that I mentioned to a few people here. Okay, so I mentioned this a number of times in the past. This isn't something that probably you and I are going to go out and be able to qualify for. But look at this, 3.5%, no down payment, no closing costs, fixed for 30 years, and you don't even have to have good credit. They operate on income to debt ratio. You go through their program for 4 to 6 months. Once you're qualified, you can go out with that qualification and get a property based off a loan. But when it works for us, how I use this and how you probably be using it too, is with your tenants. Okay? So if you've got a tenant that's on Section 8, and you spend enough time educating them and talking to them like I'm doing, eventually you get them to understand this is a really good deal, this is something you should do. Once they get qualified, you take that qualification from NACA back to Section 8 and say, hey, would you rather pay $800 a month for rent, or would you rather pay $400 a month for their mortgage payment? Of course, they're going to say $400 a month for their mortgage payment, and they do it. Section 8 makes their mortgage payment. Why would they do that? Because they only have to pay half as much as they would if they were paying the rent. It's saving them money. It's saving us money. We're putting less money into the whole system, right? So that's a point where you can educate your tenants to get them to the point where once they do, guess what? They're going to buy that property at almost retail. You're not going to sell your property to investors because you're not going to make any profit. Who's going to be the person that's going to pay closest to retail? They're not even making the payment. Section 8 is making it. They don't care. And it's a great deal. You know, if they've got kids and they're there for 20 years, it's going to be worth way more than it was when they got 20 years ago, unless we just happen to hit one of these cycles, right? So that's another thing you want to look at. Okay. So the only other thing that we had on that finance page below that, and I'll keep adding to that page, by the way, you know, if you guys come up with anything and say, Daniel, I'll put that on there, is a link back to cash buyers. And I've already got a link back to cash buyers through my NHB LLC site, which if you guys are looking for cash buyers, I can probably help you out. There's a company that has a website. I'm setting up an affiliate thing with them, so that if you guys want cash buyers, that would be a way to help get you to them, okay? So I've taken up way more time than I should have, and let me get back to, let's see here. There, okay. So that's pretty much it. We're at 7:30,
7:15-ish.
7:15-ish, okay. So that's it for me. I'm going to get Brandon up here. He's got some great information to give you. And if you guys got any questions for me, you can ask me after we're done here, or get back, call me up, or email me, or whatever. And I want to give Brandon a big hand for and you want to get back on the website here, was that it?
Yeah, that one would be fine.
Right there?
Yeah.
There we go.
And then, is there audio?
Yeah, there's audio.
Is there?
Yeah.
My name is Brandon Hawkinson. I'm a mortgage broker and a mortgage banker, and I thought it might be appropriate to start off with a quick little clip that you might find informational and somewhat entertaining. I don't want to eat in the Malton's hour and a half. Just kidding.
Source, I'm Hills, that's Charlie Sheen. Let's get started. So here's a good question. Is now, I mean right now, halfway through 2012, finally a good time to buy? Well, I don't know what the future holds, but I think it just may be.
Why do we say this? Well, do you remember the saying, buy when there's blood in the streets?
By the way, Google that phrase, it has a really cool story behind it.
Well, that old saying basically means that the best time to buy is in the worst of the worst markets. And if you're a Mayan, a JP Morgan Chase employee, or live in Europe, then you're probably thinking we are in the worst of the worst.
Not really. What gives? Why is now the best time to buy? Well, check this out. In the past 15 years, there's only been about 6 times when the global markets collectively performed as bad. Okay, I know that sounds like bad news, and it is, but check this out. In almost every case, the markets increased about 15 to 30% in the 6 months following the global market drop.
Now, does this mean that home prices will climb 15 to 30%? No. But it is a good indication that historically speaking, the markets in general could increase, which typically sparks home buyers that are on the fence to jump off in fear of paying too much for their new home.
Now, we have another reason as to why we feel that now, just now, may be the time to buy. As most of you have seen, inventory is drying up.
Or is it?
Well, my personal take, and we can't really quantify this for you, and it's just hearsay, but my personal take, I think inventory is on hold from Fannie and Freddie and the banks because of the looming election.
Yep. Off the record, several asset managers have made the comment that REO inventory is on hold until after the election. I wonder why. Well, you think maybe they're trying to paint the picture that everything's hunky-dory and look at us, we fixed the foreclosure problem.
Yippee! Well, nonetheless, for whatever reason, inventory is dried up. Maybe it's only for 6 months or so, but it doesn't really matter. This, coupled with the reason that we just spoke about earlier, may spark a buying frenzy for the last half of 2012. Now, how long will that last? That we do not know.
Now let's couple that previous story with another story that you can share with your clients. Home affordability.
Now, I'm sure your team leaders and coaches have talked about this before and how it's a great crap to share and blah, blah, blah. But really, recently, just now, it's basically off the charts.
Now, if you've talked about this in the past, you may have been a bit premature because now, May of 2012, shows a home affordability index that trumps all others in recent history.
I mean, really, it's quite impressive when you take a look and realize that home affordability, it's doubled since 2007.
And it's the best it's been by a long shot since 1971.
Interesting note here, guys. Income is the primary factor, not price and availability, that determines housing affordability.
Yeah, and the most common approach to measure the affordability of housing has been to consider the percentage of income that a household spends on its housing expenditure.
So, from that, we can deduct that the percentage of income that a household spends on housing expenditures is the most affordable it's been since Apollo 14 made its flight in 1971, or since the Hawk graduated high school.
Whatever, dude. Hey, another way to put this into perspective is this. In 1971, the average cost of a house was $25,000 and the average income was 10 grand. Average monthly rent, $150, and gas was only 40 cents a gallon. And the Datsun 1200 Sports Coupe was the it car to own.
So take that all into account, and now, May of 2012, not 1971, housing is more affordable. Now, that's something you may want to share on Facebook. See you guys next week. Hey, you know what else happened in 1971? Jim Morrison died, the first pocket calculator was released, Nixon was president, and they lowered the U.S. voting age to 18.
Dude, you seem to know an awful lot about 1971. The guy wasn't even born yet.
This guy. Hey, yeah, it's called the internet, Gary.
Thought that might be an interesting way to start things off, give you a little macro perspective on where we're at nationally. Not that you don't hear it every day in the media. I'm going to breeze through a bunch of information and then open it up to questions and answers, because that's what's most important, is what's on your guys' mind. You're going to hear some things that are going to spark some curiosities and questions, I guarantee it. I'll get through this as quick as possible. If I speak too fast, if something needs to be re-clarified, please don't hesitate to interrupt, throw your hand up, and ask anything that you like. Little background about me: I've been in the mortgage industry 14 years now. I've had the pleasure of blowing up 2 mortgage companies in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm currently a top producer, month in and month out, in the top 10 in Nevada. I live here in Santa Barbara 3 weeks out of the month. I live in Vegas 1 week out of the month. So I work both states and communities. The company I'm with is licensed in 20 other states or so, and we have a co-broker relationship with a large national federally chartered bank that enables us to lend in all 50 states. I do all right for a living and realized I could service anywhere in the English-speaking world, so I set out on a tour of where I'd most want to live, from Imperial Beach to Victoria, Canada, and chose Santa Barbara.